I just wanted to give a summary of my thoughts on Red Bull's decision to promote Verstappen and drop Kvyat after last week's Russian Grand Prix. Over the internet and social media, it seems the general consensus is that Red Bull's been copping a bit of flack over this decision, saying it's been a bit harsh, a bit rash. Kvyat didn't really deserve it. Jensen Button saying, he got a podium last week. Why have they forgotten that so quickly? But to be honest, in my opinion, I think this is a pretty good move by Red Bull, and I think they're in a position where they're able to do this. A lot of other teams don't have this option, and we only have to look to other sports. Where I'm from, Australia, with the AFL, that's the Australian Football League. When players drop form and start to not play up to what they're expected to, the teams have rather than just cut the players altogether, they bring them down to a lower league and let them regain their confidence. And they're playing in an environment where there's not as much pressure, and it gives them an opportunity to get back onto a good level. And I think that was the whole idea with, I guess you would call it, demoting Kvyat. Yes, I also agree that there was certain elements that Red Bull were under a lot of pressure in that keeping Verstappen might not have been an option at the end of the year, because it's well known that Mercedes and Ferrari have had their eyes on Verstappen, and Red Bull were finding themselves in a position where they were thinking, okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to keep him and make sure he's not poached by one of the other teams? And this was a good opportunity. Verstappen has proved that he is a talent, and he's got raw pace. So this is a good opportunity for him, and interesting to see how he fares against Daniel Ricciardo, as Daniel's got all the experience in the team. Now, a lot of people were also saying that this was just one incident. Oh, he had a good race in China, and then just one crash, and Red Bull's put him out. I look at it a bit differently. He did beat Daniel last season, but when you weigh it all up, all of Kvyat's issues were at the beginning of the year when the car was not performing sufficiently. So Kvyat was retiring when they weren't scoring points, and Daniel, on the other hand, all his DNFs happened, like at Russia when he was doing well, Spa when he was in place for a podium, Silverstone, I'm pretty sure he had a retirement there. They all happened at times when he was going to haul a good bag of points, and quite often his retirement, Kvyat went to benefit from that. So I think Kvyat's result last year really didn't reflect his performance. It more reflected, Daniel not doing that well. And I'm not saying Kvyat didn't have a good season. He got podiums, which he deserved. But in my honest opinion, he certainly didn't have the upper hand on Daniel. He merely just beat him on points. And towards the end of the season, Daniel was back to his form, reeling in Kvyat. If there was any more races, I'm positive Daniel would have got ahead of him. And this season, Kvyat hasn't been on pace at all. He just, I know he had a DNF at the start, but he hasn't out-qualified Daniel once. The only time he has beaten Daniel was when Daniel got a puncture. So it's pretty obvious that Kvyat is not where Daniel is in terms of extracting maximum performance out of that car. And maybe Verstappen might be able to do that. So yeah, it's an interesting decision, and I'm looking forward to see where this is going. I think it's going to be a great battle between Daniel and Verstappen. I'm a Ricciardo fan. I'm a little bit worried about how much Helmut Marko backs Verstappen, especially with Verstappen's dad, Jos, being in the garage, probably being in everyone's ear. I'm somehow thinking maybe there could be a repeat of what happened with Vettel and Mark, and Marko got behind Vettel and there was a bit of undermining going on. But I'm also hoping it might not end up like that, and maybe Marco this time will just let it come down to pure talent, because both of these drivers came up through the Red Bull driver program. So Marco's got nothing to lose. He brought them both up. If one fares better than the other, then hopefully he'll just let it come down to talent. So yeah, no, I think I might make a few more videos once this progresses, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on the matter as well. Okay, thanks guys, have a good one.